All right, Derby fans, it is 3 minutes to first whistle, so let's go ahead and get things started for this final bout. Who has been here for all 13 bouts of Monsoon Madness? A lot of them. We are just about ready to get things started here with introducing the two rosters for you for our last two competitors of the tournament.
All right, we're going to start with the home team. This is Arizona Roller Derby's B team, Arizona Rising, wearing number 0, Fox, number 008, Ham Wheezy, number 01, Chelsea Winkle, number 10, Frida, number 101, Justinia Woods, number 12, Kapulani Kawapuiki, number 1547, Claw, number 21, RC Autobot, number 211, Corona Slammer, number 218, Clever Derby Name, number 22, Meche, number 24, Slam, number 26, Beethoven, number 33, Ryan Colts, number 394, Helga Hufflepunk, number 420, Captain Jack, number 55, Wilhelm, number 7, Rocky Bonobo, number 901, Violet Assault, and number 921, your captain of Arizona Rising, Nicola Duke. We have bench coach staff, Billy Motion, Fred Nuts, Frenchie, and Hatebit.
And skating for the 2x4 B squad, Las Pibas. Please forgive my terrible Spanish, but I'm going to give it another crack. Here we go. Número 028, Shakuza. Número 03, Trapal Piso. Número 05, Shiba Baby. Número 11, Amazona. Número 16, Palestina. Número 1311, Cochinelle. Número 1807, Dixon. Número 31, Camila. Número 31 y 13, Mancuso. Número 420, Piuivanti. Número 533, Ramo. Y número 88, Baby Shark. On the bench, Tropico Mechanica y Toti.
All right, and we definitely want to announce our team of officials for this bout. We have Chris Maines, a.k.a. The Dude, Honey Badger, Flashover, Scary Bee Cheeses, Hook, Medic Hate Her, Snow, Uberlicious, Wreck-It Ray, Sugar and Spikes, Cuttin' Stitches, Teets, Korean Jesus, Fickle Bitch, Vixen Tequila, and Smacky Kennedy. Thank you so much to all of our skating and non-skating officials. Oh, look at that. 3 seconds until the start of Derby. I believe that's Helga Hufflepunk on the line going up against Pew Avenatti for 2x4.
We are underway here in our last bout of the tournament. It's down to the diehards here in the tournament hall. Helga Hufflepunk tried to break to the front of the pack for Arizona, but blocked off onto the infield by that 2x4 defense. Up to the front of the pack, Piu Avanti trying to make her way through those last two blockers and able to get by along the inside, and Piu Avanti takes lead jammer here in the first jam for 2x4. Arizona has passed the star forward. Taking over as jammer for Arizona is number 01, Chelsea Winkle. Pio Avanti quickly down into the corner, forced out of bounds by the Arizona defense and calls off the jam.
And just a note for supporters of 2x4, they have a heartfelt GoFundMe in support of their international tour in 2019. And Arizona Roller Derby is also taking donations for our streaming service, and we're going to be donating those donations to 2x4 as well for their international travel. We've got Frida jamming for Arizona and Trapal Piso for 2x4. Only 1 point on the board from that first jam in favor of 2x4. Frida, now your lead jammer for Arizona.
Frida out for Arizona. It's going to be interesting to watch this bout. If you recall from yesterday, watching the tournament yesterday, the Arizona A squad and the 2x4 A squad were very tightly matched throughout. really came down to the last jam, and then Dos por Cuatro was able to put together a nearly 20-point jam in the last jam to seal the game away, but a very closely fought battle, so it's going to be really interesting to see what these two B squads do to see if they're going to be as evenly matched.
So Dos por Cuatro's B team has taken away wins against Dallas and Tampa earlier yesterday. Arizona's B team, let me see, has taken wins over Dallas as well.
Lead jammer for Arizona, number 1547, Claw. And she spins through the pack, manages to stay upright, and calls off the jam. So far, 1 point on the board for each team. And with this jam,
we are starting jam 4, and we have a grand total of 2 points total on the scoreboard.
we ended up with no score that jam either. Okay.
Yeah, we've had a couple of 0-0 jams. Whoa. Don't mind us, we're just tearing down.
If anybody's wondering, the Rain Drink people are now gone.
They are tearing down. Please go ahead and grab a beverage on your way out, though. Sheba Baby jamming for Dos por Cuatro. Helga Hufflepunk getting recycled back to the edge of turn 4 for Arizona.
Helga Hufflepunk, easy to spot out there with those brilliant pink shin guards.
Yeah, definitely easy to know where Helga Hufflepunk's calves are.
Also her fan club.
Yeah.
There's also that.
We have not made it past the pivot line currently. Both teams recycling jammers back. Ooh, ref down. All right, the dude is up. We're okay. No pack being called. Trop al piso. Lead jammer for Dos por Cuatro.
So Trop al piso now up to the pack and now we've had the pass. Arizona passes the star forward.
I'm sorry, that is Sheba Baby, lead jammer. I misread her jersey.
Taking over as jammer for Arizona was RC Autobot. Apparently I've been calling her RC Autobit.
Yeah, she's like a transformer.
Okay.
Like Autobot.
I swear that says Autobit on the roster, so my apologies.
We do have a hate bit and then an Autobot.
Yes.
And then a stash bot as well.
Hate bit is one of the few people in the building I actually know. So I hate
Hate bit isn't a fabulous person to know. It looks like they are currently talking strategy with the team. Frida jamming for Arizona. Cochinelle jamming for Dos por Cuatro. Cochinelle, lead jammer.
Cochinelle spinning through the pack, staying upright, and lead jammer for Dos por Cuatro now approaching the pack. Pack moving quickly. Cochinelle routed off to the outside. Routed off to the outside of the track. They're good defense by the back two blockers for Arizona, working in tandem to get Cochinelle where she wasn't able to kind of angle into the corner and just sort of escort it off the outer edge of the straightaway there.
That's right. She got 2 points for that go-around, so useful strategy there by Arizona, at least get a couple of points ahead of Cochinelle, so she has not gotten all 4 points.
Our score here in the very early going, we've got 7 on the board for Dos por Cuatro, and for Arizona, they have the Rouge. Claw is out there and jamming for Arizona.
Oh, Claw, lead jammer for Arizona. Pew Avenatti. The jammer is now, the jammer star is now in Amazona's hands for Dos por Cuatro. Amazona in Arizona. Could not resist saying that. Claw looking for some daylight there on turn 2. Getting some help from D's Nuts.
Ever so helpful as always. And Claw able to fight through and get the defenders a little straggled out and finish off that scoring pass. 4 points up on the board for Arizona. Looks like Dos por Cuatro in the middle of a star pass. Taking over his jammer is going to be number 11, Amazona. But
jeez, Sue.
Hung up in the back there behind the defense and struggling to get through is Amazona, now trying to use a blocker as leverage. like when it's right in front of us because I feel like I can get in there like real detailed analysis of the blocking.
We're right in the action, definitely. I mean, the announcers have the best view, maybe second only to the live stream because they have zooming capabilities that the announcers don't. 4 points now for Claw. Looks like she may have gotten clocked in the face a little bit there.
Claw checking her lip there for blood, it looks like.
Very physical game. Oh, I believe Amazona proceeding to the penalty box for a forearm call. Claw is going to smartly call off the jam. We'll have about a 30-second power start in favor of Arizona. Arizona, huge 8-point jam.
Yeah, and what's been an absolute defensive struggle. No surprise. The A teams it was an absolute grind every time out for it was amazing to watch. So again, very low scoring affair here. We haven't even gotten a double digit on either side yet.
Yeah.
9-7 Arizona swinging in front here.
Yeah, if you missed Arizona's A side versus Dos por Cuatro's A side this morning, it ended up being a 21-point game, but that was literally in the last jam. There just happened to be a bit of a breakout in that score. So speaking of breaking out, Helga Hufflepunk breaks through as your lead jammer for Arizona.
A quick update. They put 4 points up on the board after that jam started. So 13-7 is the score. Back to the action.
Yeah, this is now her point scoring pass. She's got 4 here. Amazona just now standing in the penalty box. The crowd favorite for Hufflepunk, the cheer is 4 points to Hufflepunk every time she makes that circuit around the track.
Now trying to battle her way through along the back straightaway, spun onto the infield and gets up to recover. Minute and 15 seconds left on the jam clock here. Helga Hufflepunk now in behind 3 of those Dos por Cuatro defenders. As of the moment,
so we've got a very strong tripod at the front of the pack. Chiba Baby holding the jammer star and wearing the pivot stripe on her helmet currently. Getting recycled back by our Colts.
Penalty levied on one of the blockers there for Dos por Cuatro. As the clock winds down, 20 seconds left on the jam clock here. 30 seconds left. 25.
Woo.
Dispensing with the blocker is the pivot for Arizona. And finally shaking clear through the pack, Helga Hufflepunk finishes the longest scoring pass ever.
That was a really hard 4 points there for Hufflepunk. She's on the board.
Hard-earned points to Hufflepunk.
Exactly. We have 5 seconds left in this 2-minute jam. Hufflepunk, it looks like she is not interested in calling it off. She doesn't need to. 4 points to Hufflepunk.
Just about to ask if anybody knew how many points she scored in the last jam. I lost count. Gosh.
I think we said that 3 times. So grand total of 12 points for Arizona's Rising in that jam.
And that is going to be a timeout.
Timeout for Les Pibes. Dos por Cuatro.
Dos por Cuatro going to take a timeout here. Take a second to talk this over. Yeah, that was really, that qualifies as breaking this wide open, I think.
Yeah.
With a 12-point jam, doubled Arizona's score.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, definitely Dos por Cuatro going to take a second to talk this one over. So we'll step aside for a moment and be right back with you. Before we go, we'll remind you one more time about the after parties.
After parties?
The first one is at Angel's Trumpet Ale House Arcadia. So check that nav before you take off. Angel's Trumpet Ale House Arcadia. You're going to be heading over towards 44th Street and Thomas, just north of Ability 360. And then after that party ends, the second after party is at Boycott on 7th Avenue, just north of Indian School, right next to the absolute best Filiberto's in the city of Phoenix. I kid you not. That place is the truth, man.
We're going to get there. There's going to be like a line around the block.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you. Stop in there. Cheese enchiladas there are nothing to mess with. Anyway, after parties tonight, Angel's Trumpet Ale House Arcadia, followed by Boycott Bar to close things out.
Yeah, I believe there's usually fairly drunken karaoke at Boycott. If that is your jam, that is where it will be going down. All right, on the line, I believe that's Frida jamming for Arizona Rising and Chapa Piso for Dos por Cuatro.
Both jammers now struggling to get free.
Chop Piso with 2 to beat at the front of the pack, just knocking around with RC Autobot and Ham Wheezy at the front of the pack.
You can see the Arizona defenders creeping along behind, keeping them in play.
No pack being called on Ham Wheezy, has to let her go. That was about a 40-second fight there that Chop Piso had to achieve that lead jammer status.
And skaters all over the place all of a sudden.
RC Autobot in possession of the helmet star. Chop Piso able to make it through and call it off before RC Autobot is able to score any of those points.
So some excellent action there. 4 points up on the board for Dos por Cuatro. So trying to begin chiseling away at that lead that Arizona put up there over the course of all of one jam.
All right, we have Baby Shark jamming for Dos por Cuatro. And Claw jamming for Arizona Rising. Claw fighting through a pretty fierce 3-pack at the back of the pack. Oh, I'm sorry, a 4-pack at the back of the pack. Baby Shark emerging from the front. Arizona is short 1 blocker. They have 1 in the box waiting to come out. Baby Shark hitting with some intensity there. We've got Kapulani Kaupuiki. Looks like Corona Slam her in the back as well. Violet Assaults. And somebody else who is super low for Arizona. Claw trying to step her way through that inside, staying in bounds, holding onto that helmet cover. She has stashed the star.
Halfway through the jam clock, 59 seconds to go.
And a cut call being assessed to Claw, as well as a high block call to number 31. That is Camila for Dos por Cuatro.
And another Arizona blocker to the penalty box as well. So whole lot of action going on here. Dos por Cuatro regains their pivot from the penalty box, and the jam proceeds apace. Darting through, Baby Shark able to finish off a scoring pass. You know, I've never heard that song.
Wait, you have never heard that song?
Never heard that song. Believe it or not.
Count yourself lucky and never say that again, because people will assault you with that song.
Well,
and it's one of those earworms that you really can't get out of your head. It's not really worth hearing, honestly. I mean, it is catchy. I'm not going to lie.
Claw now making her way around with 2 seconds left on the jam clock here as we approach 16 seconds to go until halftime. So Dos por Cuatro, a very productive full 2-minute jam. A lot of points up at the board there. 12 points during that jam for Dos por Cuatro.
Yeah.
3 scoring passes for Baby Shark.
That is a huge jam for Dos por Cuatro.
Absolutely.
We've been chipping away at the score with sort of four points at a time here. Arizona had a big run now, answering back Dos por Cuatro with their own large run here. We'll see if this stays even or if one team really gets a chance to run away with the score. This is still early days. We're only halfway through this first half.
And the jam started. Your live stream didn't freeze. Everybody is just kind of trying to get free. And now there we go with a couple of whistles, a couple penalties, and that sort of got everything unplugged. Helga Hufflepunk to the front of the pack, and she's lead jammer for Arizona.
You know, with the pack kind of bunched up there, we didn't get to see what the penalty was on Shiva Baby, but she is sitting in the penalty box as the jammer for Dos por Cuatro. This is giving Helga Hufflepunk a power jam situation. Remember, she had the power jam last time and really blew up the score for Arizona.
And Helga Hufflepunk driving herself through that last blocker.
4 points for
Reportedly.
Hufflepunk indeed.
And the power jam has come to a close for Arizona.
Looks like Helga Hufflepunk assessed a track cut call. She's headed to the box. We only have about 47 seconds left in this jam. So we'll see how much damage Sheba Baby can do now on her point scoring run.
Sheba
Only
Baby.
2 blockers on the track for Arizona currently.
So the penalty pendulum swings back the other way here. Scurrying along, trying to catch up for Arizona is Captain Jack. Sheba Baby finishes a scoring pass.
Arizona trying to set up a defensive wedge there at the front of the pack. Able to hit out Sheba Baby and sort of cycle her back behind that wall of white at the front here. See, we've got D's Nuts, Meche, and Captain Jack in that tripod. Oh, and with a hop, skip, and a jump, Sheba Baby able to make it through. Let's see where we ended up here.
So
An
after all
8-8
that,
jam.
this is a net of 0.
A lot of hard work.
2 scoring passes for both sides,
Yep.
8 points for both sides,
Yep.
and we enter the next jam
Yep.
with Arizona in front by 2 points. Amazing.
That is a lot of work for 8 points. That is also a lot of work
That-
for net 0.
That jam had like 3 acts, like a play.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
We had like people crying and
Cheering
problems
and-
being solved at the end. It was amazing.
All right. I believe that is Coach Chanel, your lead jammer for Dos por Cuatro. Frida not far behind for Arizona. With Coach Chanel so far ahead of Frida, the pack speeding up. Arizona really trying to put themselves and some distance between their points and Coach Chanel. Let's see what the score is. Oh, another 0-0 jam.
0-0 there. Cochinelle was really hustling, trying to catch up, and a little bump there, and everybody tumbled, sort of sliding over towards the outside like it was an Olympic short track speed skating event.
It is that derby part of roller derby. Making a race. Let's see.
So
5
Arizona's
seconds being called.
still in front by 2 here.
There we go. Looks like we're going to readjust ourselves here. We've got Claw jamming for Arizona and Pew Avenatti for Dos por Cuatro. Chelsea Winkle on the outside with one last hit on Pew Avenatti before she gets lead jammer status.
Tiptoeing along the inside now. Finding her way through, it's Pew Avenatti for Dos por Cuatro. Taking over as jammer for Arizona is number 01, Chelsea Winkle. So the 2 jammers now proceeding back around. Pew Avenatti waiting to see what's going to happen and calls it off, drifting into the pack. Jam ref says no points for Arizona, so Pew Avenatti pulling that one off perfectly, sliding in there, trying to call it off at the last possible second, and was able to do so.
Yeah.
So 4 points up, so
We have a lead change.
Dos por Cuatro now. Does that, is drink?
Yeah.
Is that how this works? Lead change?
Yeah, you are supposed to drink.
All right.
I mean,
Diet Mountain
you've
Dew.
got your Diet Mountain Dew. I've
Yep.
got some throat coat tea. I have a big jug of water. I do have an after party.
We can just go in here.
We can drink
there
to
we go.
all of the lead
Refreshing.
changes. We have Helga Hufflepunk jamming. The jam has started. We just haven't moved a whole lot. Trop El Piso jamming for Dos por Cuatro. These 2 teams really had a great showing for their A sides earlier this morning. B sides also proving to be super competitive. Trop El Piso, your lead jammer for Dos por Cuatro. And in possession of the star is now RC Autobot.
And called off. Frantic shouts coming up from the Dos por Cuatro bench for Trop El Piso to call that one off. You know, I was thinking as somebody myself, I'm still relatively new to watching Derby, and I used to wonder, like, why bring a B team to an event? Why do we have B teams here?
Right.
And as we were talking earlier, it's a great way for especially like for a WIFted a sanctioned event like this tournament has been, the A squads are playing for all the marbles.
Right.
And it's super important, but it's great to bring a B squad to be like, hey, I'm looking at a lot of the things we have in here about the skaters. It's great to see how many are saying so excited to be on a travel trip. It's so great.
Yeah, it's a great experience to get this high-level play and this high-level experience, high-level tournament-style stuff, playing with teams that you might not get to play with. Oh my gosh, beautiful apex jump by Frida, your lead jammer for Arizona. I'd be remiss if I did not mention that. Baby Shark jamming for Dos por Cuatro. You can see these B teams, you know, while they are technically not the All-Stars, they are putting in just, you know, an insane amount of work on the track.
And Arizona has lost 2 blockers and a jammer in rapid succession, so this has turned into a fantastic scoring opportunity for Dos por Cuatro.
Yeah, it looks like that was an illegal contact penalty possibly on Frida. And so, yeah, Baby Shark now basically has the run of the track. They only have 2 blockers to beat for Arizona. Ooh. I believe that was Ham Wheezy getting a piece of Baby Shark, sending her to the outside. I believe we call that a ham slam. Baby Shark with laser, you know, being focused on with laser-like precision there by the Arizona blockers. Frida able to escape. Again, a little bit of a hop, skip, and a jump there on the inside line. Frida always such a calm jammer, even when they maybe are stuck in a quagmire or getting recycled back. For whatever reason, Frida's poker face and jammer stance rarely changes. They always look cool and collected. Oh, it looks like a forearm call now on Baby Shark. So we're going to start with a power jam in favor of Arizona.
Excellent. More strategy there for Arizona. Arizona going to be starting off again with a power advantage here when we get back to the action.
I am seeing, Ficklebitch is gesturing a timeout for Arizona.
All right, so Arizona going to take a second. Obviously, a great time to use the team timeout is to talk about strategy here. When you know you're starting with the power jam, you hold the cards. So great chance for them to talk strategy here.
Also gives the refs a chance to drink some water. Otherwise, they only get that tiny 30-second break as well. And if you are in the venue and you have not voted for the MVPs for the tournament, these amazing light-up trophies over at the merch table, make sure you head on over there. They're going to be voting through halftime. We're going to close it after halftime. Again, best jammer for the A side and the B side, best blockers for the A side and the B side, and then best overall. And of course, we don't want to forget our other team, the best referee and best NSO. All right. Great strategy there by Arizona to send out Helga Hufflepunk, traditionally a very high point scorer, as the only jammer in this power start. And within 10 feet of the jammer line, Helga Hufflepunk, your lead jammer. Pack being cinched backwards a little bit. Ooh.
A hard collision there, Helga Hufflepunk.
Calls it off from the floor, maybe a little jarring for her. Definitely want to make sure she is okay.
Taking a second to collect herself. The medical staff going to come over and check on her just to be safe, of course. Definitely got hit. May have gotten hit in the midsection. It was hard to see over there behind so many people, but kind of went down all in a heap all at once.
Yeah,
so she's up and back to the bench.
It was a little bit of a sudden impact there, and kudos to her strategic mind, calling it off from the floor rather than trying to maybe power through and wasting the rest of that power jam. Instead, giving that power jam to Claw for Arizona. Not a whole lot of time left here, but Claw is your lead jammer. Baby Shark hitting the pack. Claw also hitting the pack. Looks like most of our team is turns 1 and 2. Claw with 1 to beat. Number 3113 putting up a bunch of resistance. That is Mancuso. Chelsea Winkle working on hitting, I believe that is 028 Shakuza. Now the jammer for Dos por Cuatro. Ooh. Six points put on the board for that jam. We have a tie game, Derby fans, 51 to 51. I believe you're hearing the "Let's Go" chant, the favorite chant of the season. Is there a Beethoven down there leading that chant? All right, we have Frida jamming against Sheba Baby. Sheba Baby pushing through a tripod at the front of the pack. Frida able to escape on the outside and is your lead jammer for Arizona.
Frida had a lot of success last time she was out there jamming for Arizona. Going to look to duplicate that here, approaching the pack now in the front straightaway. And an excellent chip block there by the jammer for, I'm sorry, skaters going backwards still stuns me. At any rate.
What are we doing?
So
the jam is on. The jam clock is on.
Sheba Baby went all the way around, halfway around the track to the back straightaway after throwing a chip block.
I believe she was trying to bait Frida into coming around the track, and Frida decided we're going to call it off and start over again. There is a little bit of a gadget that can be used if a jammer hits another jammer out and then can recycle her all the way around. You know, the jammer can't just step in front of whoever hit them out, no matter, even if it's the other jammer. Rather than waste that time and energy with a negative lap on the track, Free decides, you know what, we're just gonna start over. We're gonna reset.
Yeah. As I mentioned yesterday, as myself, my experiences from bank track roller derby, where backwards skating is not a thing, stopping is not a thing.
Yeah, we can do both of those things.
Literally just going clockwise around the track while the clock is going just makes my brain hurt. I'm just like, that doesn't make anyway.
Ooh, big hit to RC Autobot there. She makes it through though. Is your lead jammer, gets a no penalty there. And it looks like Cochinelle now through the pack, putting the star back on their helmet.
I believe that was the first jam that RC Autobot has started as jammer.
Yes.
She's probably taking over for Helga Hufflepunk, who is still over there. I see her on the bench for Arizona.
Yeah, I think you are right. RC Autobot also has jammed in previous seasons for sure. Very strong skater overall, and definitely able to take the jammer star either from the line or from the pivot.
This is when I really wish we had a sideline reporter to run down there and give us an update on Helga Hufflepunk, make sure she's all right.
Make sure everybody's feeling good, feeling okay. This has been a very long weekend for all of these teams. And so, we want to make sure that everybody's taking care of themselves. I believe that's Claw jamming. Oh, I didn't see the signal. We are taking an official review. We are so happy that you all have joined us here for Monster Madness. This is our second year putting this one on, and we are just so thrilled.
Monsoon Madness.
Dang it, I did it again. Derby Twitter, make this happen, please. Hashtag Monster Madness.
All right, we're changing it next year. Next year will be Monsoon Madness 3 / Monster Madness 2.
Oh my gosh. My announcer brain is so fried, friends. Please, if you are listening to this in a league, go hug your announcers.
My brain is asleep. I can't word anymore.
I can't brain anymore. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us here at Monsoon Madness 2. This is our second year putting this on, and honestly, we are just so thrilled to host these skaters from all over the country and even all over the world. Again, having Dos por Cuatro here. We were also very honored to host Cactus Cup earlier in the year, where we welcomed Australian skaters, Australian skaters and Mexican skaters as well. And, just thank you so much. We do want to give a shout out to our friends at Dos por Cuatro. They are raising money for their international travel. We definitely want to help, whether it is referring people to their GoFundMe. Do the search on Google to GoFundMe 2x4 and 2019. Or if you donate to Arizona Roller Derby on our live stream button, So if you go to our webpage and click the live stream button, there is a donation option there. If you donate there, we're going to give that money to Dos por Cuatro as well, because honestly, they have got such a great, scrappy story, and they are such high-level players. We really want to make sure that they can keep playing this game that we all love. All right, we're going to hear a little bit about this official review.
2x4 is looking for a low ball assess on the right channel. Low ball is observed, low ball is spin, and we'll have to take a review for this.
All right, thank you so much. That is head ref the dude for this game. We appreciate you. All right, we have about 3 minutes left in this first half.
Arizona putting up 2 points on the board there in that previous jam, so they are in front by 2 points, 53-51.
All right,
It
Piu
feels-
Avenatti and Claw.
I was gonna say it feels so very relaxed, and everybody's just like, it's so. This is an incredible game.
This is a great game.
Don't let our smooth jazz voices fool you.
I know,
Our
right?
voices are just tired. This game has been great.
I mean, this is non-sanctioned, but it is still super high
Absolutely.
quality, amazing derby, much like the A-side was this morning. If you didn't catch the A-side score, Dos por Cuatro won with a score of 122. Arizona trailed with 101, but honestly, it was like 20 points were scored in the last jam by Dos por Cuatro. It was incredibly close, and they pulled ahead in that last jam, but it was really just superlative roller derby. Check out the AZRD YouTube for that stream recap there. All right, we have Frida on the line and Chapal Piso, our 2 jammers of note for Arizona and Dos por Cuatro. I believe we have an empty, Dos por Cuatro is down 1 blocker currently in the penalty box.
Frida blasting her way through, has gotten lead jam the last 2 times she's been out there for Arizona.
Palestina now wearing the star for Dos por Cuatro. This is
And-
jam 20 of this first period. We might have one more after this. Woo!
And a big cheer from the Arizona crowd down there at the entrance to turn 3. A big defensive effort down there, right in front of a very appreciative crowd. Frida now battling to the front of the pack, trying to find her way through. And forced out of bounds, is going to get recycled back and goes ahead and calls off the jam instead.
Palestina, after that jam being called, with a big smile on her face. That was an 8-3 jam in favor of Arizona. And yeah, you might hear a lot of raucous cheering on the stream. Probably half the league is in the building right now, either on the track or in the stands. We do have our juniors, Arizona Junior Roller Derby, participating in a game in Los Angeles. So a significant portion of our league is also there supporting the juniors. But yeah, we definitely like to bring the noise, that's for sure.
So Arizona stretches the lead back out to double digits for the first time since the very early going, 65-54, in front by 11 here with less than a minute to go until halftime.
RC Autobot with the star for Arizona and Baby Shark for Dos por Cuatro. We almost have a palindrome score. I do not think we'll get one now. I can't imagine 2x4. Dos por Cuatro only getting 2 points.
And a penalty assessed to RC Autobot. So power jam for Dos por Cuatro for at least the next 25 seconds or so. Out the front of the pack goes their jammer. That is Baby Shark.
Baby Shark lead jammer now. It did take a while for that lead jammer status to be established. Ooh. Ooh. Big hit by Ham Weezy, and I think that was a forearm being called on one of the Dos por Cuatro blockers.
And now the power jam over, and catching up to the pack is RC Autobot.
RC Autobot shaking off that hit from Cochinelle just barely. Oh.
RC Autobot back on the track and then sent right back to the penalty box. Another penalty.
High block, that's it. I did see a ref making that gesture. I just wasn't sure who it was to.
And being recycled to the back of the pack.
Baby Shark gonna call this a jam and start in a power start situation in the second half.
Indeed, indeed. So trying to gain a strategic advantage there, Dos por Cuatro. Points are being tallied. We have 2 points up for Arizona.
Looks like 3 being held up for Dos por Cuatro. So 67
Indeed.
to 57.
All right.
10-point game.
So
We will
Arizona.
see-
I was just going to say Arizona with a 10-point lead, and that's a great way to go into the half at this point with as much of a defensive struggle as it's been.
That's right. We will see you back here probably closer to 10 minutes. Please head over to the merch table, grab some merch, and vote for your MVPs.
We got about 3 minutes left in our last halftime of the tournament. I'd like to ask our fans in attendance here, if anybody here in attendance wants to shout up here to the announcers booth and let us know if you guys have anything in particular you saw at this tournament that really blew your mind, any of your favorite moments of this tournament. Kind of holler them up here and we'll shout them out for you if you want.
I don't know. Our cheering section is pretty vocal, but they might not be listening. I think they are. Something about Spanish? Blink is requesting that you say all the scores in Spanish, Greg.
No, the score right now is 67.
I think that's a great suggestion.
67 por 57.
We just turned on the SAP button on
right,
announcer
exactly,
Greg.
right, yeah.
And yeah.
That is 4 years of public Phoenix High School Spanish.
We have 2 minutos left in our
20 years in my brain.
In our halftime. I really wish I knew what they were saying also. Blink, can you go ask them what Dos por Cuatro is saying when they are in their huddle? All right, we are winding down. I hope you voted for your MVPs.
Yeah, voting for the MVPs is, I believe, is closing as we speak. I can actually see her counting the votes down at the merch table. So if you want to get your vote in for MVPs, you've got about literally 90 seconds to do so. That's at the merch table right at the foot of the stairs over here. So duck in there and vote if you'd like.
I think the next big thing, I'm going to just shout it out. I don't think anybody here, and maybe it's Dos por Cuatro, but they are on the track. If you're staying at a Hampton Inn, we probably have your room key. Maybe come up and grab it from us. And the after party is at Angel's Trumpet Ale House in Arcadia. So about 44th Street and Thomas or so, between Thomas and McDowell. It is just 10 minutes north of here, north of Ability 360 on 44th Street. And then our after party, where the real fun begins, is going to be at Boycott Bar, 7th Avenue north of Indian School. All right, we are coming down to the last couple of seconds here. Well, again, we are starting off in a power jam. RC Autobot parked in the penalty box. So Dos por Cuatros was having a raffle at their table. Number 10, I believe this is Jenna, has won. If you participated in the Dos por Cuatro raffle and you have ticket number 10, Jenna, maybe make your way down back to where their raffle table was. All right, we have Pew Avenatti also ready to jam. I'm seeing the dude speaking with some of our bench staff from both teams.
And again, as we get back to the game action here, a fabulous bout so far, halfway through this thing. Yeah, it's been nip and tuck all the way through, several lead changes.
All right.
At the conclusion of the first half, Arizona used the official review. They were looking for the high block removed from the vice chairman. The high block was not observed by the vice chairman, therefore the call will go overturned.
Oh, a reversal of an official review for Arizona. So we do have two jammers now on the line. Helga Hufflepunk starting off this half, going up against Pew Avenatti. And again, if you participated in the Dos por Cuatro raffle, go ahead over and check your ticket. Number 10, Jenna, you are a winner.
Getting underway here, back to the game action. Of course, if you tuned out at the end of the first half and are tuning back and expecting to see Dos por Cuatro on a power jam, you just missed it. It was announced that Arizona challenged it at the end of the first half, and the call was overturned, so no power jam.
hold it up here and it's fine, you know?
Ready to get underway here in the next jam. Points on the board for both sides. 1 point on the board for both sides, so still a 10-point lead for Arizona. Quickly up to the front of the pack goes the jammer for Dos por Cuatro, number 03, Trapal Piso.
Both jammers struggling through some pretty distinct and strong defensive shapes there. Trapal Piso with 1 to beat, and she is your lead jammer for Dos por Cuatro.
Frida was recycled back to the very back of the pack by several of the blockers for Dos por Cuatro, able to stretch themselves along those foot lines along the track, but emerging at the front of the pack is Frida, so going to try to put a cap on the scoring here. Spun off onto the infield was Trapal Piso and calls off the jam.
Oh, it was Hallucinogen, winner of the Dos por Cuatro raffle. I hope she shares with her fellow announcers. I think it's like Argentinian chocolate stuff.
The jam underway, and the jammer for Arizona is Claw. She was spun off onto the infield. Now fighting her way back through the pack the hard way, 1 blocker at a time. Baby Shark jamming for Dos por Cuatro. Claw quickly to the front. Baby Shark along the inside, and it's going to be a good old-fashioned jammer race back to the pack. Baby Shark, a little wobble going through the corner, but trying to hang on to it. Meanwhile, the pack starts the Derby Carousel.
Baby Shark sniped that lead jammer status right from underneath Claw's nose.
And a collision in the front straightaway there. Baby Shark down to her knees, calling it off.
One point for Dos por Cuatro. That was a lot of skating, a lot of inertia, a lot of effort there for 1 point. This is just how this game is going. This is very similar to Arizona versus Dos por Cuatro. First thing this morning, the A side. We've got Helga Hufflepunk and Sheba Baby jamming.
Helga Hufflepunk back out there. This is the first time she's jammed since that fall she took in the first half, so good to see her back out there. Looks to be no worse for the wear after taking a breather during halftime. Sheba Baby quickly out as well, so she's going to try to force the issue here. Helga Hufflepunk finds a line through the corner, sliding down, and calls off the jam before Sheba Baby can get to the pack. Waiting for the score to be sent over, and there we are.
3 points to Hufflepunk.
Don't steal their thunder.
No.
Don't steal their thunder.
They weren't even listening to me. It's okay. Frida jamming for Arizona Rising. Oh, and a cut track being called on Cochinelle. This is going to give Frida a...
Nope. Looks like it was...
Yes.
No, now it is. Okay. Penalty was assessed, rescinded, and assessed again. So apparently the referee that assessed it said, no, really.
I mean, to be fair, there were a lot of skaters in that general vicinity, so I can see how it might be confusing. But yes, Cochinelle is going to sit for 30 seconds. Big hit there on Dos por Cuatro jammer. I believe that might be Shakuza.
So Frida able to navigate through on a scoring pass. Dos por Cuatro also has a blocker in the box in addition to their jammer. We've got a lot of skaters getting ready to come back in after all that activity and penalties. And both teams rapidly getting back to full strength.
Ooh, no pack being called. Number 3113, Mancuso, recycling Frida back to that straightaway.
And just getting through and finishing off. By finishing off, I believe, a scoring pass. Was she out and active, Cochinelle?
I don't believe she was.
Doesn't look like it. No, okay, yeah, no, that was her first pass. That was her first pass. So.
Yeah, she did get she to get that cut track on her initial. Was not able to complete a scoring pass. That is a huge 12-point jam for Arizona. In this game, 12 points is a huge jam. And we're going to have a little official timeout to talk about it. Probably not talk about that. Maybe talk about something similar. Pew Avenatti jamming for Dos por Cuatro. Claw for Arizona.
Both jammers hemmed in behind defensive tripods, and Claw able to break through first at the front of the pack, but no, Claw is signaled with a high block. So meanwhile, we have a star pass, and taking over his jammer is number 16. That is Palestina taking over his jammer for Dos por Cuatro. And Dos por Cuatro has a power jam for approximately the next 24 seconds or so. Palestina now looking to get some points on the board. Dos por Cuatro looking to put a stop to Arizona's run that they've been on. Arizona's jumped out to a 22-point lead here. 10 seconds left in the power jam for Dos por Cuatro. Palestina still fighting along that front line of defenders for Arizona, trying to get free. And now those blockers are going to be pushed out of play. Nope, penalty called on the last blocker, so Palestina gets through and finishes a scoring pass. Puts those four hard-earned points up on the board for Dos por Cuatro.
Hawaiian Blaze at the back of the pack doing a great job of holding Palestina, responsible for that first hit out as well when Palestina approached the back of the pack. Offense there being done by Dos por Cuatro to try and get her out. Palestina now at the front of the pack with 2 to beat. That is 4 points for Dos por Cuatro. Ooh.
There we go. I had incorrectly stated that first one was her scoring pass. It had taken a while for her to get through the pack, and I had lost track with the star pass. My apologies. And now working on her second scoring pass.
Oh my gosh, 2 full minutes of skating. Let's see, I believe that is going to be 4 for Claw and 6 for Dos por Cuatro. A 2-point differential in favor of Les Pibes. Trapal Piso jamming for Dos por Cuatro. Helga Hufflepunk for Arizona Rising. And Hufflepunk able to sneak through on that outside line. Lead jammer Helga Hufflepunk.
Helga Hufflepunk fighting her way down into the corner, trying to find an opening here as she negotiates the pack. I do find it interesting. Arizona lost their lead when Helga Hufflepunk went down, and this resurgence in the second half has coincided with Helga kind of recompleting their jammer rotation. So.
That's right. She is an extremely competent and strong jammer. Also never stops moving her feet, never gives up. Also usually will jam right up the center, so doesn't get a lot of opportunity to get those cut track penalties. Looks like Hamuizi headed to the box. And And 4 points to Hufflepunk. 5 points, excuse me, for Arizona Rising. Arizona able to hoard Dos por Cuatro scoreless in that jam.
And this next jam is underway. Tightly bunched pack there in the front straightaway, just not even quite to the pivot line. And now tumbling out of the pack, Ashley Jammer. And the pack also regurgitates another skater. That is your jammer for Dos por Cuatro, Baby Shark. But out front is Frida for Arizona. Frida trying to spin through and get in front of a skater, call it off. We will see if she was able to do so. And points up on the board for Arizona. Cheer from the crowd as the jam ref signals.
I do love to see the jammers talking and smiling on the line, waiting for those 30 seconds to elapse. I believe that is Cochinelle and Kala. Oh, timeout being called by Dos por Cuatro, yes.
So, brief break in the action here.
All right, Cochinelle eyeing Kala. Little jammer aggression there. And rather than make it a race, Cochinelle calls it. Smart strategy there by Dos por Cuatro. No use in using up all that energy when we still have 18 and a half minutes left in this game.
Arizona out to a 28-point lead here, and really trying to keep this lead built up as they head down towards the end of the game. A couple of big jams have put it out there for him, and you can definitely see the strategy has shifted. More conservative, trying to get out there, get 4 points, and call it a jam.
Helga Hufflepunk pushing through, attempting to push through that big, strong tripod at the back of the pack of Dos por Cuatro. Pew Avenatti at the front of the pack for Dos por Cuatro. We have a Dos por Cuatro jammer, Shakuza, headed to the penalty box.
And Pew Avenatti now takes the star cover off, but it's just going to be stashed because their pivot is sitting over in the penalty box, as just mentioned. Meanwhile, trying to skate around the outside was Helga Hufflepunk, but runs into a closed door. Pew Avanti, gets through, is now working her way through the pack.
I think I might be adding an extra syllable. I think I've been saying Avenatti. Pew Avanti.
Well, I just called her Pew Avanti, and I knew that wasn't right in any language.
Oops.
Meanwhile, now out of the penalty box is that pivot for Dos por Cuatro, so they're back to full strength. Pew Avanti finishes off the scoring pass. There's a whole lot of action going back and forth there. Arizona has crested the century mark here.
Oh my gosh. This is definitely indicative to the high level of play here that we are just now hitting the century mark, and we are almost halfway through this second half of the bout. We're 3/4 of the way through this bout, and we are still super low scoring. I don't think we have anybody in any penalty trouble as well on the B side here.
Yeah, it seemed like it's been a pretty very few power jams.
Yeah.
Seems like it's been a pretty well skated bout.
I mean, we've had a couple of jams where the boxes had some blockers rotating through it, but not every jam, not even every other jam. As I say that now, of course, there's whistles. Frida, by the way, jamming for Arizona, and Baby Shark jamming for Dos por Cuatro. Frida headed to the penalty box. Power jam in favor of Dos por Cuatro.
Now Baby Shark battling, trying to find her way through. Blockers for Arizona uniting in a little wall. Now her own blockers, Baby Shark, trying to clear her out. Whip around, trying to get through, skating backwards, and that pivot for Arizona, trying to get to her, and...
Baby Shark able to shake off the 1-2 hit from Chelsea Winkle and D's Nuts.
Baby Shark was able to get the two of them to basically collide with each other and was able to skate right on through as if she had an extra blocker. That was a nifty bit of footwork by Baby Shark, really, to kind of get that to happen.
Baby Shark and I believe Sheba Baby, some of the strongest jammers that Dos por Cuatro has been putting out for this game. All right. Trop Al Piso getting a bit of a gap in the track there, a little head of steam before hitting the Arizona defenders at the front of the pack. No pack being called. And I believe Hamweezy getting sent off to the box for an illegal hit, probably being hitting after that no pack.
And that penalty box is full of Arizona Rising skaters right now, with one of them now, blocker, getting back on the bench. Frida over there, so it's a power jam for Sheba Baby and Dos por Cuatro.
No, it's Trop Al Piso.
Trop Al Piso, excuse me. Wrong zero number. 03, Trop Al Piso.
Corona Slammer and RC Autobot doing their best to at least delay Trop Al Piso's circuit around the track now.
So Dos por Cuatro trying to make hay while the sun is shining here, and now Arizona back to full strength, power jam over, and their blocker back on the track as well. Trop Al Piso recycled to the very back of the pack. Lots of whistles, lots of penalties whistles being assessed here.
You know, this is what happens when the announcers talk about what a low penalty game this is.
What a clean bout.
I know,
everybody gets a penalty.
So we have now we have a grand total of 3 blockers in the box, 2 for Dos por Cuatro, 1 for 2 now also for Arizona, including, I believe this is the 3rd penalty for Frida in maybe a jam or 2. I mean, this has been really repetitive here. Oh, and I see a cut being called on Trop Al Piso as well. I'm wondering if we're getting a little tired and maybe skating a little sloppy on both sides here. Could be tired, could be also be desperation, you know, when you really want that win. This game is not that far. These two teams are not that far apart on the scoreboard.
So Frida back on the track there at the very end of the jam, and they are going, Arizona is going to start the next jam with the power advantage. The power advantage. Sounds like something you buy with your car. Would you like to add the power advantage for $1,500? Jam begins. Helga Hufflepunk, good choice on the line to start a power jam. It's going to be abbreviated, of course, because we had both jammers off the track at the same time. So 8 seconds left in the power jam at this point. Helga Hufflepunk through and is lead jammer for Arizona in the meantime. Trop Al Piso now out of the penalty box.
Trop Al Piso making eye contact with her team at the front of the pack with some intention there. She is holding the jammer's star in her hand, coming out of the penalty box in this jam. Skates through on her, skating backwards through that edge of the pack on her initial pass, puts the helmet cover back on.
Amazingly, that jam had been going on for 50 less than 50 seconds at that point.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Oh, yeah.
Called off by Helga Hufflepunk there.
8 points for Hufflepunk.
Yes.
108 to 79.
Arizona is just steadily building on that lead, just 5 points here, 5 points there. And it looks like we are going to have a
I think it's an official
stoppage.
review. I see a lot of the bench staff talking with the dude.
It looks like there's going to
Yes.
be a stoppage.
I see Ficklebitch making the O symbol
play.
and then maybe
Okay.
pointing at a team. Yes. Arizona calling an official review. Awesome.
All
We're gonna
right, we
let
will
them
step
talk
aside
it
and
over.
let this official review run its course. We'll be back with you once we have word from the infield.
All right, we're going to have the results of those official review there.
Illegal contact assessed to 2x4's jammer. A illegal contact to a down skater was not observed. Therefore, the no call will stand, and Arizona will not retain their official review for the second.
All right, thank you so much. All right, and I do want to remind everyone in the house, we are about 12 minutes from the end of this bout, and right after the end of this bout, we are going to announce the results of our MVP voting. So please, after you give your high five to your skaters, don't go anywhere. We have the results of our MVP voting right after the skaters take their victory lap. All right. Looks like we are ready to go. Our bench coaches are returning to the bench. I believe I see Claw lining up with the star for Arizona. All right, rolling whistle says it's time to play derby. All right, I know there is a Dos Per Quattro jammer. I just cannot see her through the refs. Oh, it is Baby Shark for Dos Per Quattro going up against Claw for Arizona.
Baby Shark versus Claw sounds like a children's movie.
It's I mean, wasn't Claw the bad guy in Inspector Gadget?
Correct.
The Claw, right?
I do a really good Claw. I'll do it between jams.
Okay.
And meanwhile, back to the action. Claw trying to fight her way through the pack and does so, finishing off the scoring pass for Arizona. That's 4 more up on the board for Arizona.
All right, we're coming up to 11 minutes. We're in jam 14 right now. 11 on the clock.
Baby Shark now sliding into the pack on the back end. And Claw maybe waited a beat too long to call that jam off. And as we get ready for this next jam, indeed, looks like 3 points up on the board for Dos Per Quattro there on the back end of that jam. He's able to negate, blunt a little bit of the scoring action from Arizona. Battling to the front of the pack is Racing to the front of the pack is the jammer for Arizona. That's Frida, but whistled, and a cut track penalty on Frida. Headed over to the penalty box once again. Meanwhile, the jammer for Dos por Cuatro, that is number 05, Sheba Baby, whose name I now forgot. I was trying to call everybody Sheba Baby 10 minutes ago. Sheba Baby now trying to get her way around. And knocked down. A little bit friendly fire there, knocked down by one of her own blockers who took a heck of a tumble herself.
She was trying to achieve that shirt whip there from her teammate. I think their skates might have gotten a little tangled up there. Yeah, friendly fire is exactly what it is. Does not seem to slow her down too much, though. She is on her another scoring pass.
Frida now up and ready to rejoin the action. So the power jam coming to a close for Sheba Baby and Dos por Cuatro as she tries to finish off a scoring pass. Meanwhile, Frida racing through the pack one more time. And it's going to try to get around. But in the meantime, the jam called off by Sheba Baby. So that was a
8-point jam.
8-point jam, yeah.
In favor of Dos por Cuatro.
Dos por Cuatro. So trying to chip into the lead here in the waning moments of this bout.
Chipping away at that lead, definitely.
Helga Hufflepunk out there for Arizona has had a lot of success here in this bout and overall.
Cochinelle on the line for Dos por Cuatro. Helga Hufflepunk for Arizona. And a multiplayer block being assessed to number 11, Amazona, for Dos por Cuatro.
And Dos por Cuatro passes the star forward. Trying to shake clear is the pivot. That is number 16. That is Palestina taking over as jammer for Dos por Cuatro. Helga Hufflepunk finishing off a scoring pass, keeping an eye on the action here. Waiting, and calls off the jam.
Quick 4 points there for Hufflepunk.
So 120 to 90. Arizona 30 points in front right now and trying to close the door.
That's right. 30 points feels pretty safe, but not that safe. These two teams, I think, if either of them either of them relaxed on their intensity, we would see a dramatic shift in the score. So, Baby Shark jamming for Dos por Cuatro and Claw, frequent jammer matchup there for Arizona.
And to the front of the pack, Claw is whistled for a penalty. Claw gets a high block?
No, that is a forearm.
That is a forearm. Okay, lower on the arm. Yep. Okay, there we go.
He is gesturing to his forearm as that is the offending body part.
Well,
and now we have a cut track. Different gesture, also using the forearms, though.
Okay.
So, yeah, Claw served a couple of seconds there, and it looks like Baby Shark is only going to serve the same number of seconds that Claw did because, again, we have to have jammers on the track in order to play roller derby. This will be a full 2-minute jam, though. See if this will impact the score. Oh, and I believe that is a helmet cover pass to Shakuza for Dos por Cuatro.
So Shakuza takes over, and again, a full 2-minute jam, so neither side will be calling this off. We have 50 seconds left to go in the jam. 6:24 on the game clock. Still no points on the board for either side in this jam. Now, there we are, 4 points on the board for Arizona with Claw emerging out the front of the pack. Arizona really trying to use this 2-minute jam to, at the very least, pragmatically run 2 minutes off the clock.
Yeah, that's
which helps their cause immensely and try to put some points on the board. Now, Shakuza able to get out of the pack coming around, completed one scoring pass, and Shakuza going to try to get in there for more.
Yeah, this 2-minute jam does benefit Arizona. Just in that right now, the score is 4-4 for this jam, so a net of 0. Arizona is still keeping its lead. See, I believe it might be a 7-7 jam once everything is tallied.
Claw got recycled to the back of the pack, and she was skating. She looked as tired as you and I sound. And And the referees are checking on the score, it appears.
Yeah, so that is a 7-7 jam, 127, 297, 5:07 left on the clock.
Yeah, all that struggle and strife, and as it turned out, it was a net gain of nothing. So again, definitely played into Arizona's favor there. May have been a net gain of no points, but Arizona runs 2 minutes off the clock.
That's right. RC Autobot at the back of the pack. Your lead jammer, though, is Più Avanti for Dos por Cuatro.
So Più Avanti finishes off a scoring pass and calls off the jam. Dos por Cuatro is going to try to work into the lead, and that's the way to do it, is get out, get 4 points, and call it off. Keep that clock from moving as much as possible between jams.
That's right. It's been a hot minute since Arizona was held scoreless, and 2x4 or Dos por Cuatro did score. Still 26 points in 4 minutes. Not insurmountable, though. Definitely, like I said, if either of these teams lets off in intensity, this score will change dramatically. We do have no lead jammer yet, about halfway, 30 seconds into this jam. Trapal Piso and Helga Hufflepunk. And just, of course, as I say it, Helga Hufflepunk emerges as the lead jammer.
Helga Hufflepunk now trying to get through on a scoring pass, and we've got Trapal Piso.
That was some beautiful offense there by Corona Slammer to get the last Dos por Cuatro blocker out of the way. Ooh.
Helga Hufflepunk taking another hard shot there coming down the front straightaway. And you can see Trapal Piso still trying to struggle, trying to fight through that front block there, the red helmet. Now Arizona picks up another blocker. Helga Hufflepunk trying to spring free and racing along, taking the star for Sheba Baby, taking it over for Dos por Cuatro.
Yeah.
Just kind of watching her, making sure she wasn't going to fall over. It was trying to get that star cover on while she was zipping down the back straightaway. Runs squarely into the back of an Arizona defender there and comes to a screeching halt, however.
You do have to wonder if this is Dos por Cuatro's effort to get Helga Hufflepunk to call it off by passing that helmet cover. Helga Hufflepunk, though, kind of a machine right now, trying to get all of the points. Sheba Baby with 4 blockers at the back of the pack, and letting the jam come to its natural conclusion.
Yeah, I would believe at this point the strategy for Arizona is more clock running and less.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely, just trying to run the game out at this point. So Arizona sitting pretty at this point in the catbird seat here in the final game of the tournament.
So that was a huge 11-point jam for Arizona, 4 points for Dos por Cuatro.
And in the words of beloved sports announcer Al McCoy, who I must profess to doing a bad impression of when I'm announcing roller derby, I think you can put this one in the old deep freeze, as he says.
I don't know, man. Until that fourth whistle sounds,
Until that whistle
anything can happen.
sounds, it's not over, but...
We do have Claw, lead jammer for Arizona. Baby Shark emerging for Dos por Cuatro.
Claw out of the pack now, fighting to get through on a scoring pass. And call from the crowd goes up to call it, but Claw is definitely content to let this one play out.
Claw getting, Baby Shark getting sent into the crowd there, getting recycled back to that straightaway. Ooh. Body's hitting the floor on the straightaway.
It looks like we got about a 25-second differential. The game clock is going to expire before the jam clock, so that appears to be the strategy here, is just to go ahead and let this one run on out. Claw back to the pack slowly.
Claw has 8 points on the board currently. Baby Shark on the scoreboard with 4. Again, I think your idea is correct. We are just trying to run out this clock. We have 25 seconds left in the half, 45 seconds left in the jam. So if Claw does not call it off, this would be the last jam of the game. I think that might be the plan. There we go, 6, 5. All right, now it is all up to Claw.
And that is going to bring the game clock to an end. We will wait for the final I's to be crossed and the T's to be dotted.
That's right, that final tally, once that unofficial turns to official.
And before we get to that official end to the tournament, it's not over. We have an official challenge. So, Dos por Cuatro is using an official review here. So.
And I do have a little bit of an update for our after party. Our first after party is actually going to be at Angel's Trumpet downtown. We discovered that the Arcadia location, their kitchen is going to close in an hour, and we are going to be hungry. So head to Angel's Trumpet downtown. That is at 2nd Street and Roosevelt. Again, Angel's Trumpet at 2nd Street and Roosevelt, because their kitchen is open nice and late to feed you. Yeah, we are definitely updating social media, but if you are meeting friends at the after party, the first after party, it's at Angel's Trumpet downtown, 2nd Street and Roosevelt.
Once again,
the after party still at Boycott. Still head over to Boycott too.
As I joked earlier, the after party is not at Angel's Trumpet Arcadia where there's lots of parking. It's at Angel's Trumpet downtown where there's I am sorry.
At the conclusion of the period, 2x4 was looking for a out-of-bounds block on Arizona's jammer and requesting that an additional jam be added due to an officiating error. A out-of-bounds block was not observed by the officials, therefore they don't follow the stand, and they will not take an extra jam, and they will lose their game.
Thank you so much, Head Ref the Dude. We appreciate you. Yes, please come and get a high five from your team, and then stick around for our MVPs.
So that brings an end to this game. 150-113 is your final score. Arizona Rising victorious over Les Pibis from Dos por Cuatro in Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Oh, 150. All right, thank you so much for coming all the way to Phoenix, Arizona, Dos por Cuatro. If you are listening on the stream, please donate to their GoFundMe or donate to Arizona's stream, and we will donate to Dos por Cuatro. So thrilled to welcome them here.
Arizona's B team is they're undefeated, right? Arizona B and Dos por Cuatro A are undefeated. Good showing for them.
All right, and if you're interested, I have the results of the MVP voting. MVPs for the tournament. Your A-side MVP blocker is Lose Chaos. Your MVP jammer for the B-side, Helga Hufflepunk. Your MVP blocker for the A side, she's on the track right now, Ham Wheezy. Your MVP blocker for the B side,